Hello, my little sparkles. Welcome back to Roslyn Rants. Now, this is a rant that I've been wanting to do for a while now because this one means so much to me. And this rant is about ADHD. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. I don't really like the disorder part, but I'll explain each bit of the name. Attention deficit just means not able to focus. Deficit just kind of means another word for like disorder kind of thing. But yeah, not able to focus. Hyperactivity just means a lot of energy, essentially. And you can either have one or the other, or both. Now, I don't like how I was kind of diagnosed. You can be diagnosed in different ways. You can be diagnosed by your family doctor. You can be diagnosed at a certain facility. There's a bunch of different ways. The way I was diagnosed-ish is that I realized that I personally had it because I am a licensed counselor now. And while I was going through this big book called, at first it was the DSM-5 before they came out with the latest edition, but I was going through it, learning all the different diagnoses and the conditions, the requirements needed for each category. And I realized, you know what? ADHD, I kind of feel like I have this. There's a lot of things in here that kind of sound like me. And I asked my partner, hey, doesn't this kind of sound like me? And he was like, yeah, no, that's absolutely like you. And it made me kind of question it quite a bit. And the algorithm for things like TikTok, Facebook, and things like that, it was showing me memes and things like that for people with ADHD, and I was relating to a lot of them, like saying things before you think about it, feeling very sensitive to things, being rejected, not able to focus, forgetting things, things like that. And I was like, hey, this is really funny. Huh? This is really relatable. And then I was like, oh no, this might actually mean something. And I started really wondering. I'm like, I need an official diagnosis. And for those of you out there, I would recommend getting an official diagnosis only because I want you to get an official diagnosis because some of these things might actually be something else. Like, you could be like, oh, hey, I have ADHD, when in reality it might be anxiety because some of those cross over, or it could be something else. So I just want it to be officially diagnosed just in case it's actually something else for your own sake. But then I went to my doctor and she just had me fill out a piece of paper, which I'm not really the most comfortable with it being, but it did say that I do have, after filling it out, that I do have ADHD, more on the attention side. But then I realized I personally feel like I do have the hyperactive side because I do have a hard time sitting still. When I was taking a test, I felt the need to use my hands quite a bit, and when everyone's sitting down, when we have meetings, I am the only person that gets up and has to move around, and everyone stares at me, and it happens quite more often than not. And I wanted to kind of talk about some other things in regards to having ADHD. And one of the first things I'll say is called impulse control. And that just means like not being able to hold yourself back and not just do things, but also say things. So for example, if you've seen my videos, you'll see that I say things a lot. For example, it's very out there in the game Date Everything, I said things immediately without thinking. Especially in what seems to be in a flirtatious way. And honestly, it's not my intent. And I want to explain that a little bit. Okay. This is me being very open, very vulnerable right now. So, in Date Everything, you'll see especially my TikToks, you'll see a very instant right there. All right. So, in Date Everything, in Phoenicia, I like to call her Phonica instead. But yeah, in there, she had this moment where she said her temperature had gone up, and she said that there is no thing as a phone doctor. And I said, oh, don't worry, I am the phone doctor. For me, that was just a personal joke. For me, that was an instant joke that I had in my mind, and I said it. For me, that was just a personal joke. For everyone else, or for other people, I'll say, not for everyone else. For other people, that would come up maybe as a joke. A lot of other people in my experience, for those that may not be neurodivergent, I guess I could also add, would take that as being flirtatious. Would also take that as me being, I don't know, maybe also like being pervy or something else, but mostly for flirtatious. For me, that was a joke. For me, that was a pun. I love to do puns. For me, it was mostly like a pun moment. It wasn't meant to be like flirtatious or anything. I just love doing puns. And that was in me for a moment to do it. It wasn't until afterwards that I realized, oh, wait a second. It was, it may come off a different way. I know others may point out like, wait, you kind of had that tone of it being another way. I've kind of have learned that I have done it so much that people take it that way that I've just kind of just take it along for the ride kind of thing. But early on, unfortunately, a lot of the puns that I have learned are unfortunately flirty or things like that, even though it wasn't my intention. So I just kind of learned to ride with it, flow with it in a sense. But that's just kind of how it is for me. A lot of the puns, unfortunately, are seen as like flirty and stuff. So I just learned to go with it, especially for, again, focusing on Phoenicia. The one thing that she said after that is she said, I just need a hard reset. I saw another opportunity for a pun or a joke. Neither of those things, and then I said, oh, I can give you a hard reset. Neither of those things that I said were intentionally me trying to flirt with her or anything, because if, let's say she was a real person, would I intentionally be flirting with her? No, absolutely not. Because if I actually wanted to romantically go after someone, I would not go in that way. I just see those as opportunities for jokes and stuff. I would say that with friends and things like that. Again, if in my last podcast with Scribs, if it's in the smash or pass, if I were to be in a romantic relationship, I need to feel very comfortable with someone. And if it's especially going to get, physical and things like that, it would, I would need to be like very comfortable before I can even say jokes like this. And I know I'm deviating, but it all goes back to the whole impulse control. Because in impulse control, I didn't think when I said those things. I said these jokes not thinking how other people would view me. And unfortunately, they would think, oh, I'm flirting with them. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to say a joke. But other people, unfortunately, have taken it a different way. And it has now come to being like, oh, she's like dirty, or she's trying to flirt with me, she's trying to get with me, or things like that. It unfortunately has come that way. But when you get to know a person, you actually realize, oh no, that's just kind of how she jokes around. But that's another way of impulse control, not just running around and doing things that get you hurt or get other people hurt, but also saying things before you're thinking. That's another way that ADHD happens, impulse control. And also going into that extra energy, not being able to sit down. For me, it has been that I can't sit down. I also get very bored, so bored, that I daydream if I could, I would daydream 24/7. I practically do. If you see me sitting there, I'm probably daydreaming about something. I daydream about stories. I daydream about what I can do for VTubing, how I can try to improve my channel. I just don't have the time to keep doing it, but yeah, my own worlds, my story, what I can do for crafting. I daydream 24/7 when I'm driving somewhere. If I don't have something in my hands, I'm probably daydreaming somewhere. But yeah, that's where all my energy goes. ADHD isn't just standing up and running around. It's also sitting and thinking constantly. Your brain does not turn off. It's something else that I actually learned surprisingly. I didn't realize it was a thing that people actually don't think 24/7. That surprised me so much. And yeah, that's just one of the things that actually surprised me. I also found out a lack of sleep is a thing too. I thought sleep wasn't a problem for me, but being actually able to get a full set of sleep, or having too much sleep also. When I was younger, I was able to go to sleep from like 9 to like 5 or 6, and then I would get so grumpy, so irritated, that I would need to sleep for like a nap, 2 to 3 hour nap, and then I would be back up and running. So I would sleep from like 9 to 5 or 6, then I would need a nap from like 10 to 12, and then I would be back up and running. If I didn't get that nap because I was working or something, then I would pass out again like 8 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. I don't know, just one of those things. Another thing is with ADHD, a part of the attention thing is lack of focus. So with lack of focus is when you don't have something in front of you that you enjoy. So for example, me, I love reading. You can get me to start reading something as long as I have an interest in it. So if you're having me read nonfiction books, so a book about fantasies, a book about like dragons, or a book about witches, romance or something, I'll be reading that thing through and through. But if you give me a nonfiction book, so a book about science or a book about math, I'm gonna have a hard time focusing on it. I will not be able to keep reading that. I'll look for something more interesting. A speck of dust on the floor is going to be much more interesting. I'll be focusing on that. And again, like I said before, I daydream 24/7. I will accidentally start daydreaming because I can't focus on what's in front of me. It's unintentional. I don't try to distract myself. It just happens because what is in front of me is not interesting. And on top of that, if I'm in a hurry or I feel like I have to finish fast because I want to get to do something else, like, oh, if I finish this really fast, then I get to eat ice cream afterwards, or I get to play games afterwards or something, then I'm going to accidentally skip steps. Or if I have read something before, I'm not going to want to read it again. So I'm going to accidentally skip what I read before because I think in my head, oh, I think I already read this, so I think I already know what's in there. And I will accidentally, think I already read it. So unfortunately, I will skip reading something. And again, it's unintentional. So, skipping steps is part of ADHD and a lack of focus. Accidentally looking at something and getting distracted, or doing something to get distracted, and just skipping things. And that also leads me into zoning out, because that's just something else that we do. And the things that I'm saying, which I probably should have said before, but it's is not something that everyone with ADHD does, but these are just some of the things. And the things that I'm naming are things that I personally do. Speaking of which, the other thing that people with ADHD do is that we have a hard time prioritizing. We have a hard time prioritizing things because we feel like everything is a priority, everything is number one. So yeah. Yeah, that for me, I feel like everything needs to be done. Everything just has to get done. That's something that I know that I've had a hard time with, for sure. Yeah. So the other thing that's also very hard, and I'm pretty sure it's been repeated multiple times, especially during these times in social media coming out, is ADHD is not commonly seen in women, for multiple reasons. And I'm going to go through each part. Attention deficit is one of the reasons. So half of that. The lack of focus is one of the main reasons, because that is the part that's mostly seen in women. They mostly have the distracted piece. And women can also kind of like put that back into focus. They can kind of refocus themselves. And the main part, hyperactivity, that is what's mostly seen in men. That's what's mostly seen in males. And the way it's mostly seen in males is that they start running around, climbing, kicking things, what have you. They start doing that. And as I mentioned before, hyperactivity can also be seen in the brain. They don't stop thinking. They start, for me, I keep imagining things constantly. But you're not going to see me do that if I'm sitting at a desk, writing. Or in my case, I was drawing all the time and I finished my work and whatnot. Women have an easier time accustoming ourselves to society. And accustoming ourselves to society norms and doing what they expect from society, expectations and things. So yeah, we can kind of refocus, and our hyperactivity is in our heads. Unfortunately, on top of that, it causes us stress. It causes us stress, so much stress of the expectations of society, the expectations of home and things like that. So then not only do we have ADHD, then we have anxiety on top of that, which then I can go into a whole other rant, but yeah. But then, yeah, they think it's anxiety, whatever. Anyway, then that's why ADHD hasn't been on top of women, which is why I got diagnosed very late. And it was my own self-diagnosis. And the other thing I'll add on top of that, my family is a minority. And in my culture, is a Hispanic minority as well. Hispanic minority, my culture does not believe in diagnoses like this. They don't believe in it. And even when I told them, they don't understand it and they don't agree with it. So it was a struggle, but that's okay. I'm fine. I want everyone to know that it's okay. But anyway, on top of all of this, that's what made it harder to know and understand that this is why it's all hard to have people know that it's a thing, that women, especially minorities, have a harder time knowing that it's a thing and how to get assistance for it. when they do know that they have it. But yeah. And the other thing is ADHD, when you have so many things that you don't know how to prioritize, you have so much going on, when you have ADHD, you do tend to forget things. You forget things when you're in the middle of doing it. So even like I was taking like all of these, I'm trying to figure out which story I should do, but yeah, I was taking like all of my different like medicines that I had to take, and then I was going to like the bathroom to like take off or trying to take some of the stuff into the bathroom, and then I was going, and then I was like, oh wait, I forgot something in my bedroom. And then when I went there, I was like, wait, why am I in here again? Even though I was literally on my way to go get it, and then I was like, wait, why am I in here again? And that's literally just what happens. And I wasn't even in my room yet. I was at the door. I didn't even go through the door. And I'm like, wait, why am I over here again? I literally forgot as I was there. And then even as I was asking my partner, I'm like, hey, can you get me this? And then literally after I asked him to get it for me, I literally stopped him and said, what did I just ask you? Because I literally forgot what I just asked him. But as I was asking him to do things, I was staring at my computer, typing up a story. So because I was typing words, I asked him a different set of things. I mixed up the two different things, the two set of words that I was saying. It's difficult living with ADHD, but it's not impossible to live with it. And it's different for everyone. Everyone is at a different level with ADHD. On top of it, the other reason that it was hard for me to even know that I had ADHD was because a lot of my interests that I have actually involve calendars, actually involve me writing things down constantly just because I enjoy it. I love having a paper planner. I love having a wall calendar. I like having a digital calendar, so I'm constantly writing things down all the time. I don't know why I like it. I just do. And then I like setting reminders on my phone, so I had reminders on me constantly. I don't know. So that's why it was even harder for me to know and forget. It was harder for me to forget. But you know, it just kind of is what it is. Now, something that you might be wondering is, well, what can I do if I have ADHD, or how can I find out if I have ADHD? You might be wondering, well, what do I do? How do I find out if I have ADHD? Honestly, I'd always say reach out to your local doctor if you have one. If you don't, I honestly didn't even know that this was a thing until I reached out to like local areas and stuff. But go out to your local library. Sometimes there are free resources that I didn't even know were there. Sometimes there are big events or local events that they'll have. Your local community as well might have events as well. But otherwise, the internet honestly is a big, small community. They might have resources there, but I would be very careful. But honestly, reaching out to your local library, if you don't have a doctor available through insurance or anything, is the first thing I would do. But for everything else that I've kind of listed today, for example, like prioritizing, I would make a small list. And I wouldn't make it big. I start with something small. What are at least like 5 things you want to accomplish? Nothing big, nothing small, just 5 small things that you want to do. And if it is something very big, just do the first 5 small steps and put them in order of 5, 1 through 5. Just 5 things today, 5 things tomorrow, and that's it. Just leave it at that. And you can organize it in any way you want. But just say 5 easiest thing to do to not easiest things to do. And for extra energy that you have, it doesn't have to be anything big like going to the gym or anything, but even just taking walks can be really good too, but anything you enjoy as long as it gets some energy out. If you have a lot of extra energy, or if you have to sit at a desk all day, look for any chair exercises. I know that's what I have. I try to get up every 15 minutes for every 45 minutes that I'm at the computer, just to kind of get up or so. If you're having trouble with sleep, again, getting up for exercising might be able to help with that. I would recommend going to a doctor depending on the level of sleep that you're struggling with. If you're having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep or anything like that, that's more for a doctor kind of recommendation. Anything that I'm recommending now, I'm only saying as recommendation. It's nothing official that I'm providing. This is just my experience or things that I've seen others go through. It's nothing official that I'm recommending as like a counselor or anything. It's just something that a friend is recommending. If you're skipping steps, having a lack of focus or zoning out, again, I would just recommend kind of like standing up, walking around, see if that works at first. If you're able to, honestly, my favorite thing to do is to get up and leave it alone for a day. Whenever I work on scripts, or if I'm working on anything related to like videos and stuff, and then I have to come back to it, I give it a good 24 hours, a couple days before I come back to it or work on a completely different project. I feel like I need a good breather before I can come back to something like that. But overall, those are my favorite things to do. If I'm having a hard time focusing, if I'm even getting stressed out or depressed, I feel like I need to get up, do something different, walk around, and then I'm able to come back to whatever I'm doing. And honestly, that's really the best thing for quite a lot of things. And that's just coming from an introvert. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you little sparkles next time. Bye bye.